Welcome, I'm Sofian. I'm a growth engineer from Switzerland. Is there any Swiss people in the room? Yeah, oh, one.
Swiss-based, not Swiss, not Swiss.
Okay, that counts. We are family now. I'm a growth engineer. I work in small companies like just my own, and also bigger companies like Nestle, 300,000 employees. And at Nestle, I was running A/B testing on a weekly basis. Actually, I was running multiple A/B tests every week, one after each other. And because I'm from Switzerland, I like to talk about two things, which is chocolate, that's why I brought some. So if you have any question, you will get some chocolate, and watches. And today, I would like to just bring you on the journey of A/B testing and just have that analogy with the time and watches, because I believe A/B testing and watches can be beautiful, but at the same time can be super complicated. And I want to talk on the other side. This morning we heard about A/B testing this, optimize that, and here I would just want to give you my feedback and what I've been through, and maybe what could look like in the future if we are working well all together. So on the agenda, we will have some basic foundation of what is A/B testing. I'm pretty sure you're all aware, but it's always good to just have a recap. Then we will look at the bright side of A/B testing, and we will see why multiple companies, include some in the room, like Webflow, are using A/B testing to make some business decisions. After that, we will look at the other side. So I didn't want it to be negative or anyways bad news bringing people. So I just call it the other side, but we will see that sometimes it's more nuanced and complicated when we do this A/B test. Finally, we will look at what we can do instead and maybe look at solution, and I've already heard some of them today. I leave some time at the end because I would like to be as interactive as possible again. So as soon as you have any question, just raise your hand and we can have a quick discussion about it. Fine? Let's go. What is A/B testing? Pretty sure now that you're all aware what it is, but just a quick sum up. A/B testing is most of the time split in two phases. One is a setup where we set up an experiment, and the other one is when we run that experiment. So for the setup, it's all start with a great idea like, hey, what if we change the bottom color to green? And then, because it's my idea, we just go for it and we take a website, we build what we have today as a control one, and the new version, which we will call the challenger. Sometimes it's called test, sometimes it's called test 1 or 2, depending on how many tests we are doing. And then we are just looking at how many of them are reaching a goal. This is very important part because without a goal, we don't know which one is the most beneficial. Once we're done with the design of the experiment, then we move to the experiment, where we will just assign randomly to users one of the two colors, either the control and the challengers, and after some time, we will look at how many of them reach the goal. And at the end of the experiment, one person will just present the result and say, hey, look at the result, and according to our amazing experience, we have 50% more conversion using the version B, the version Challenger, than the version A. So we should definitely move the Webflow website to a greenish color. We all agree, right? But as you might know, it's not working that fast and that easy. But why do companies like Webflow, Microsoft, and others still doing it? Because actually there is a bright side. And there is an amazing side about A/B testing, and I'm pretty sure all of you have heard of some of the benefits. So first, it's a very easy and objective way to get user insights. It works in real life. It means that users don't know that they have been tested and their behavior is not impacted. And it's quite easy to make it worldwide. You can just share the experience with anyone on the internet, and you will get results quite fast. The other big benefit is it's based on the scientific approach, which is just we have an assumption, we make a test, and we look at the results. And who is against the scientific approach? We use that for finding vaccines and making some impressional progress. So it should also work for business, right? Final, we have an easy consensus. So if someone comes to you and say, hey, let's bring some greenish colors to our website, what do you think you should say? The easy answer is, let's do an A/B test because we can let people decide. The thing is, if I'm just showing you two versions of the website, it's very complicated to know which one is better. It's really based on your on your taste. Sorry, my English. However, as soon as I'm showing you those numbers, you're starting to say, oh, okay, even if I like blue better, actually the green one is driving more business, so let's go with the green one. And this is why multiple companies like Meta, Google, Netflix, Airbnb, and Webflow are doing A/B tests on a weekly basis, I guess. Actually, they are doing more than 10,000 tests per year. It's more than 30 tests per day. I did the calculation just before, which is quite huge, but it doesn't help us. I mean, we're not all these companies, and it's so easy when we have people just presenting what big tech companies are doing. But what about us? I mean, what about us freelancers working for small SMEs? What about us agency owner or partners working with startups or small companies? And what about us enterprise people working in the B2B sector? So what do we do? Should we just follow the trend and start doing A/B testing on a daily basis to see and make every business decision? Or should we just step down and look at what's happening and maybe learn something today? So for me, every time I'm hearing, hey, we should start doing A/B testing, it's so much easier to make business decisions. I'm starting to ask this question. How much traffic do you have on your website? If it's less than 100K users a month, then you should really reconsider finding another way. If you have an expensive acquisition cost for your users, maybe it's not the right way neither. If you have no internal culture of experimentation, you shouldn't start right away doing A/B testing. And finally, if you have urgency to grow your business, and I mean, most of us do have that urgency, maybe this is not for you. And like I said just before, those big tech companies might not have those issues, but that's not the reality for all of us. So now we can decide and we can talk about the other side of A/B testing, the side that nobody's talking about, which is way more complicated and way more nuanced than we are used to. And what I realized is when I was working and doing those multiple A/B tests, what I felt is I never got someone having my back and just supporting me in the way I was sharing it. So today, I'm just sharing it with you, and then we can discuss after all. So when I talk about the complication of doing A/B testing, we need to know that we need a lot of users. And I mean a lot. If you don't have that huge amount of users, then it will just take so much time just to get any result. Then we have to look at how it's complex, and not just on the result, but also on the infrastructure you need to set up in order to get this result. And finally, it's very limited. And when I say limited, I'm not saying as a tool, I'm saying in the scope. We are just looking at a very narrow area, and we are ignoring all the rest. So let's go a little bit deeper by what I'm saying in those different sections. First, it needs a lot of users. So to get to that A/B test result that we all like and that we present to our stakeholders, we need a result. And for that, we need to have something called statistically relevant result. It just means that we need enough users to make it not based on luck game. And for that, it takes time. If we want to run one A/B test, on average, you will have to wait between 1 and 2 months at 10,000 users per month in order to get a result. And if you want to accelerate a little bit the process, like I was doing when I was working at Nestlé, what I did is I just bought that traffic. And in that case, it costs money. And it costs a lot of money. Because now you want to accelerate because you want to make business decisions on a weekly basis, and that is very, very expensive. Regarding the complexity of A/B testing, there is two levels that we are looking at when we talk about complexity. First, it's in the result, because even if we have that nice graph and with some green colors saying, yes, one version is better than the other one, there is other numbers at the bottom that we often ignore, but that can tell a completely different stories. And this is just for the result on the users, because when we look at infrastructure, then it's getting way more complicated. And for that, I think the best is just to tell you a small mistake I made when I was working at Nestle. So once I was working on an A/B test, and I did some very, very fast copy pasting, and I made a mistake. I just create exactly the two same versions. The problem is, I realized that during the result. And I really felt like that. I really felt like, wow, those are exactly the same. The problem is, when I looked at the result, I had a clear winner, and it was also statistically significant. What does it mean? If my content is exactly the same, my two variations are exactly the same, but I'm getting a result that one is performing better than the others. It means that my infrastructure cannot be trusted anymore, and I don't know if you realize that, but as I looked at the result on the Monday morning, I just see my life ending. Because now, if I cannot trust my infrastructure and my result of the week, I cannot trust my past week result, and I cannot trust my 2 months result before, and I cannot trust any result, and I have to present that to my stakeholders in 2 hours. So what do? Do I just present the result and say, yeah, everything went fine, let's go with a B version, or do I just go back and tell the truth and say, well, until now, I believe we just make some decision based on I don't know exactly what. So I'm not working there anymore, but that was one of the starting point where I started to feel that I couldn't really control everything regarding my A/B test, and I was a little bit losing it. Finally, it's irrelevant, meaning that sometime we will look at a test and a goal. So imagine we're just taking back the example of the home page with the changing color of the button, and we are looking at how many people sign up. Actually, when we are looking at that, like I recall, it's very narrow in scope, and we really don't know what happened after. Maybe people are not publishing any website. Maybe people are not paying for a website, which I believe Webflow is also looking at. Maybe people are not even upgrading or going for local, and that we don't know. We don't care about that when we are doing a test. But we also don't care about what's happening before. Where do people come from, or how they advance in their user journey or not. And that narrow scope is not helping us. And I don't know if it's maybe enough for you to doubt about A/B testing or looking for other solution, but for me, this is the final point. This is a quote from the Airbnb experiments lead, who used to be experiment lead, and he said, 8% of the experiments had impact on revenue. 92% were just failing. Meaning that after going through all of those, what I present, you still have 90% chance of failing and not getting any result. And we are talking about Airbnb team on A/B testing, one of the most advanced user-centric team that we have seen, and still failing a lot. So that is some truth about A/B testing. But what can we do now? Is there any question? Remember? Oh, Shaibe.
What happened the day that
You won already, come on.
Sorry. What happened the day that you realized that your whole infrastructure?
Yeah, so I took a day sick. Yeah, I took a day sick first, because I was not just questioning my ability just to get results, but I was questioning my life. No, it was very, very painful. And I must say it was not I was not laughing too much about it. And then I presented it, and I said the truth. And I said that I couldn't trust anything. And they told me, hey, we don't need that. We just prefer to go with a very nice data-driven story that you tell all the time. And it's fine if you just missed once. I was like, oh no, you're not getting my point. And yeah, that's what happened. And that's what you wanted to know, or I didn't got fired, I left. But
So is that a common thing to do in order to test your infrastructure?
yes, it's called AA testing, and it's a normal thing to do when you are doing a lot of A/B testing. But that's where also I'm coming up with, if you have no internal culture of experimentation, you don't think about that. Or you just think about that way too late. Oh, sorry. And that's why having that culture of experimenting is not just subscribing to a tool offering some A/B tests. It's really having those people who can interpret the results, but also test the infrastructure and leverage that infrastructure to help you make better decisions. You still want your chocolate? You will have the tourist one. Yeah. Okay, you go for the green one.
Do you think using AI to help with this testing and optimization is a good idea or a bad idea?
I would say it depends on how much users do you have and how much capabilities there is behind. I believe that I don't think AI will solve your issues, and I think it's adding some opacity on that infrastructure thing that not a lot of people know exactly how it works. Yeah. So I would be always skeptical, but I've seen some very interesting things today, not on the A/B testing way, but much more on going for more personalization or better understanding. And yeah, I think I can be optimistic from what I heard today, also from people from Microsoft. I just have one chocolate left, so then we have to share it and so on.
Yeah, I was wondering, so is this vision about A/B testing is not always the right way, more on the small changes or also on the big changes?
So
I can imagine that has a lot of influence with this vision.
yeah.
Big changes and small big changes.
So that's an interesting point, and I think it's good transition for moving on. Thank you. So what can we do instead? A/B testing is very good when we have high maturity, large audience, and we've seen that most of the tech companies are doing that every day, and they have the right to do it, and I'm pretty sure they can do it pretty well in order to get the maximum insight from the users. However, if we are more at the beginning, starting, having low maturity, or a smaller audience, what should we do? That's the question everyone is asking. Like, should we still do A/B testing or should we do something else? I believe personally that A/B testing in that phase you are in is just the wrong tool. Just use other tools. Because at the end, what we want is to get as much as user insight possible. The way that you are doing it, it's just one way or the other. Just choose the best tool that you have. And if you are having a small audience, low maturity, and starting a business, having user interviews and conversation with people to just understand how they think and what do they project themselves is great, and you should go for that. And if we are moving on and just having more maturity, a larger audience, we can go for user surveys, but also analyzing the behavior on the page through clarity, or having other ways just to gain insight to better understand how our users are experiencing our website. You can ask them directly how they are. And of course, I understand it. It's not perfect. It's full of bias, and we know there's tons of bias that we should avoid. But it's helping us building trust and to understand more the users. And for me, this is a critical point, because I don't know if you see the shift, but we are moving from A/B testing, which is a tool, to more user-centric approach, and this is what I'm trying to fight for when I'm working with clients and other agencies. I don't want marketers or people just behind their computers working on data, dashboard, and just interpreting tons of information that most of us never get. And if I'm looking at a different scope, at a different time, I can get a completely different story. I just want more people discussing and getting right into the users and be user-driven instead of that. Conclusion. Is there any question? There, yeah.
How many would you set secondary goals for tests? So,
So are you asking for secondary goals when I'm doing an A/B test?
yeah.
Yes.
The idea that goal one is do they answer?
So,
Do they actually?
okay. So my first goal is always not doing an A/B test, even before setting a real first goal, because I'm not working a lot with tech companies having a large audience and a large maturity regarding experiments. If I'm working on A/B tests for a large corporation, what we are mostly working on is implementing that culture of experimentation and onboarding them, because most of the time it's not here. And like I said, it's not just because you subscribe to a tool that give you A/B testing capabilities that you're ready to get on there. But let's imagine they are, and if everything is ready, we are working also to set the scope and making sure that the real goal that they are trying to define for the marketing team, which is most of the time revenue or lead generation, that is included when we are doing testing. So even if we are testing on the homepage, some buttons for sign up, we are still tracking until the final goal of our clients. And you're a little bit too far, so I'm not very confident throwing that to you, and I don't trust people giving by to you, so I will just hand it up. So no more questions, sorry. Too late. No, please.
How do you transition to user-driven?
Yes.
And I agree on that. So how do you envision that get focusing on that, on the experience of the user? How
Yes.
do you track that?
Like I said, everything that is important is going back to that user data that we can collect and trying to avoid all the layers in between, which are, because if we are doing A/B testing at the end, we are still testing some user behavior, but it's just more one layer that we have to deal with complicated result and data and dashboard just to make one decision about your business. So what I'm trying to say is, whatever method that you want to use, whatever user-driven ways, it can be through interviews, it can be through surveys, it can be through behavioral analysis from your website, whatever ways is working through you for your maturity level is the best way. And at the end, like I said, if you are very mature and you can run A/B tests, that's still a very powerful tool, and you should definitely use it. Does it answer that? Sorry, no chocolate for you. Maybe someone can share with you. So, conclusion. I'm going back to the watches. And I believe watches are great. And I'm always asking myself, okay, if I have a watch, is it to give me the time or to be on time? That's the joke from the beginning. And it's same applying to the A/B testing. If I have a tool that is helping me to get user insight, but I don't get them and it's complicated and it's distracting me, what's the purpose? So I believe at the end, A/B testing is amazing and we have a very good way to make it valuable for most of the business, but sometimes it's just a very expensive distraction that makes us far from making the right business decision. And to circle back to the users, I believe at the end, it's our user success that will drive our business success and not the other way around. So it's very important always to keep that in mind and just remember that we are making all our decisions and all our effort to drive that and not the other way. Thank you. And